welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Shreen. I don't normally look like this, but it's almost October and Halloween is one of my favorite times of the year, so I really wanted to do a series of makeup looks that could work as Halloween costumes or kind of have a spooky twist on them or are Halloween inspired. So here's the first one. This is definitely an intense one, and it was inspired by James Charles's Neon Skull tutorial from a year ago. Inspired is a loose term. I essentially copied it. My techniques were a little bit different from his, and I definitely used different products than he did, but overall I tried to emulate what he had created. This is also going to be my first time doing a voiceover. This look was just going to take so long. It's been 3.5 hours at this point that I've been doing it, and a lot of back and forth, so it just didn't make sense for me to film it and edit it as I usually do. So excuse the voiceover. Hopefully it is still informative and interesting to watch, and we'll get started.
I started out by taking this turquoise shade from the Sephora Pro editorial palette and using a fluffy Morphe blending brush to put that in my crease. I tried to create a cat eye effect using that shade to kind of set me up for the rest of the look. Next, I took the shade Laguna from the Natasha Denona Tropic palette and added that on the outer corner. I then went on to deepen that shade with the cobalt blue from the Sephora Pro editorial palette, and then using a packing brush, I took the black shade called Punk from the Tarte Pro eyeshadow palette and kind of outlined where I wanted the darkness to be. Next, I'm going to take a smaller blending brush and I'm going to blend out the edges that I initially created with that packing brush. So I wanted this to be a very dramatic look, which is why I use so much black. I wouldn't ordinarily do that with my eyeshadow. So here I'm adding some of that cobalt blue back on because it was looking a little too black and I wanted to bring the blue back. And next I was using the fluffy blending brush to just buff out my edges. I'm wiping away fallout on my concealer. As you can see, I already did my foundation, my concealer, and my brows. Now I'm taking the Tarte Shape Tape in the shade Medium and using it to cut my crease. And I included this part because I wanted you to see about how long it takes me to cut my crease. I think this is on 2x, and just the general techniques that I use to define it and how far out I take the crease. There we go. And that's just using a fairly small packing brush. Okay, next I'm going to take the shade Mint Frost from the Natasha Denona Tropic palette, and I'm going to use my Max Fix Plus to wet it. You can see the immediate impact that it has. This is on a slightly larger packing brush, both from BH Cosmetics. So on an even larger packing brush, I'm taking the shade Tiger Lily, also from the Natasha Denona Tropic palette, and putting that on the outer edge. You can see the shimmers from both of those, going back in with the black to deepen the outer corner of that crease and reintroduce some of the drama to this look. Now on my lower lash line, using the, I believe, Morphe M506 and buffing in Laguna, and then adding some more blue and a bit darkness to it with that cobalt blue from the Sephora Pro editorial palette. Next, I'm taking this gorgeous light minty shade from the Sephora Pro palette and putting it on my inner corner using a very small packing brush. And then I'm using the Jouer Cosmetics powder highlighter in the shade Citrine on my brow bone. I'll use the same shade using a larger Morphe brush on my cheekbones. Now I'm taking the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in the shade Milk Latte 604, and I'm just following the general skull pattern that James Charles used on my face and creating this initial outline. I think this is a great product for this purpose, but because it is a jumbo pencil, the tip is fairly thick, so I wouldn't recommend it for finer work. And you can see I keep turning my head because I want to make sure that everything's looking pretty symmetrical, since this will form the foundation for the rest of this look. I actually put foundation all over my face, and I think I regret doing that because later on you'll see that it mixes in with the black that I used to fill in those areas, and I think makes everything a little bit lighter. So if you're doing this, I would recommend not putting foundation on the lower half of your face and the tip of your nose. There I am, correcting it and making it match. Now I'm taking my Makeup Forever Professional palette. This is something I use exclusively for makeup looks, and I think it cost around $100, but I use it a lot for my Halloween looks. So if Halloween looks are a thing that you do, I definitely recommend this for you. If not, then I think that just sticking to the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil might work, since that is pretty affordable. Now I'm just outlining the teeth again, following James Charles' model. This is using a more pointed brush. A more fine or a smaller tipped packing brush would also work for this purpose. I'm not being too precise, as you can tell, since I'm going to go over this with a lot of other eyeshadows and I'm going to be filling it in later on. I sped up the tutorial quite a bit at this point because I think you get the general idea and how I use my brush strokes. So there you go. Let's get those last teeth in there. Okay, now I'm taking the black shade from the Makeup Forever palette and I'm going to be filling in all of those areas. As you can see, the black is not coming off with the greatest impact, and I think that's because the foundation is in place, and as well as it mixing in with the Jumbo Eye Pencil. This is something that I did differently than James Charles did, because in his video, I think he went over the white lines with blue eyeshadow before he filled in the blackness. And I thought that this would be easier than doing that, because now I don't have to watch out for any blue. So now I'm packing some black eyeshadow, the shade Punk from the Tarte Pro palette, over the black kind of cream product to keep it in place, and using a fluffy blending brush, I'm going over all those white lines that I created with the turquoise shade from the Sephora Pro palette. I filled in my teeth, that's not on camera, and this part's pretty self-explanatory. I missed the tip of my nose earlier. Okay, there we go. Blending that with that black shadow, which just keeps it from shifting around on your face. I think it's always a good step to take, especially if you're wearing this look out to a party or to an event or something like that. All right, so now I'm taking that cobalt blue shade and adding a little bit of depth to these areas that are meant to look like neon lights. I think it applied more patchy than I would have preferred. So that's unfortunate and something I would do differently if I were to do this look again. So I'm just going into the teeth and doing some more detail work to try to get some of that darkness black. I do think that it does look blacker, and if I were to go back, I would go on the lower edges of the bottom row of teeth. There we go. Now I'm using the Stila Stay All Day eyeliner. This is the white one, and it started out really strong, but as I went on to continue to do this, and I don't think that I put this on camera, I found that I had to wipe it quite a bit on my hand because it would just pick up so much of the underlying product, which is unfortunate. I think whatever product James Charles used in his video was definitely more effective because I felt that his neon effect was more pronounced than mine. Okay, so now I'm taking that same beautiful frosty shade from the Sephora Pro palette and layering it on top of all the areas with the white eyeliner. James Charles used a MAC pigment for this, and I think that also had beautiful impact. And I'm taking Benefit Roller Lash Mascara on my eyes and applying some iconic mini false lashes.
So there's the finished look. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this. Maybe you learned something, maybe it inspired your own Halloween looks. If it did, please comment down below or message me. I'd love to hear about it or even see it. For now, happy Halloween.